So we have several days in a row where we're expecting some wet weather across the U.S., increasing our hail risk, our wind risk, but also our flooding risk. So we'll talk about that over the next few minutes. Let's talk about your hail risk today. So we're going into severe weather mode now. We're talking about a hail risk not only today, but also on Thursday and increasing by Friday. Friday storms look pretty interesting to me. Let's go ahead and zoom down to the Four Corners today, where while it's a very low risk for hail, I do think that we could see some pop-up hailstorms here. So we're watching for two areas, one just along the Arizona and New Mexico state line, the other a little bit farther to the north along the Colorado and New Mexico state line. So again, the Four Corners right in this area is where we're watching for those pop-up hailstorms today. Tomorrow, we shift out into New Mexico, western Texas, and even the southwestern central portion of Oklahoma. Now let me tell you, this is going to be a late night system. We're watching storms to fire in the afternoon and evening hours, continuing through the overnight hours, so you could be asleep at this time that we're watching for these storms. Let's take a look at the hail risk here because we've identified two areas for large hail. When you see the oranges, that means that we could have some larger hail up to the size of a golf ball at least. Let's go ahead and look at your significant hail model. Do you see these areas? One down in southwestern central Oklahoma, another down in West Texas, including Lubbock, Texas. What you're going to see is a line of storms starting in places like Amarillo, but things really start to get interesting as we head into the late night tomorrow. After that, we're going to see mainly West Texas, but even southwestern Oklahoma really fire up. Let's see this one more time, and let's zoom down into West Texas and Oklahoma. Again, storms really get going later on in the evening, so you have late Thursday evening plans. Make sure that you have an indoor option. You're checking the weather right around dinner time, good for you. That's whenever storms are firing. As we head into the overnight hours, so it's dark by this point, look what pops up in western Oklahoma. Near places like El Reno, Hinton, Clinton, all of these areas could see some isolated supercells. Now, it's going to be isolated. Not everyone getting hail in western Oklahoma. Pretty isolated here. We'll have to see where exactly these storms form because a few models want to bring storms as far north up I-35 into places like Guthrie, maybe even Stillwater. So we'll have to look at it tomorrow. I told you earlier in the forecast that these models, they're not handling this setup very well. So we'll continue to watch this. It's going to turn into more of a widespread event as we head into the overnight hours on Thursday and into early Friday morning. So as you head out the door in places like Dallas and Tulsa by Friday morning, your morning commute, it could be a wet one. You could see that lightning and hear the rumbles of thunder on early Friday morning. Could these storms go severe on Friday morning? I think it's possible. I think it's a lower risk by Friday morning during your commute than it is on late Thursday night, overnight hours Thursday into Friday. Which brings me to your risk on Thursday. So we're going to break this up into two parts. We're talking about that wind risk and the hail risk here. Wind highlighted here in blue for 60, maybe up to 75 mile per hour wind speeds. I think that we'll probably see 60 to 65. I'm not too terribly worried about the wind, but we could get up to 70 in some places. Hail. I told you I highlighted two places for hail with these showers and storms across Texas and Oklahoma. And then we've got another area across places like northern side of New Mexico and southern side of Colorado. So let's zoom down into each individual place. We could see some larger hail, I'd say maybe up to $half size, ping pong ball size hail in New Mexico. And here's what everyone has been watching for today. Where are we expecting hail on Thursday evening? Two areas. Remember, I highlighted Lubbock, Texas earlier for up to golf ball size hail. And then remember those isolated storms in places like El Reno, Yukon, Hinton, Clinton, these areas right along the highway here, up 35 as far north as Guthrie, through Oklahoma City, and then all the way down in southwestern Oklahoma. Those isolated storms could pop up in anywhere in here, and they could produce those larger hailstones. We're saying golf ball right now, but I could see a world where we update that, where we upgrade it to larger hail tomorrow, but we'll have to see what models are doing. Moving on to your max forecasted hail size for Thursday. Again, I I've already given this away. I've spoiled it for you guys. Golf ball size hail. All right, so we talked about Wednesday, talked about the four corners. Talking about Thursday as well, we've highlighted that wind and that hail risk. Let's go ahead and talk about Friday, which really targets West Texas, anywhere from Lubbock to San Angelo, and those Dallas storms early on Friday morning. So we've got another round of storms that's going to come through the late night hours, Thursday night into Friday, Friday night into Saturday. You can see anywhere from San Angelo to Dallas, these storms will line up late on Friday, and look at this, we're at midnight already on early Saturday morning. Those storms will continue, but after the storms, after the severe weather risk stops, we still have a flooding risk to talk about. So we have a flooding risk anywhere from Kansas City to Dallas, including Oklahoma City and Tulsa. And then by Saturday, that flood risk moves down to the south. All right, we're officially heading into Friday now. Let's talk about the severe risk on Friday. I think that this is going to be a very interesting setup. What we're watching for on Friday is going to be a line of storms that stretches anywhere from Lawton all the way down into places like Fort Stockton. Down to the south, it's going to be more of a wind risk, but right in the middle of this line of storms right here is going to increase the hail risk, okay? So let's go ahead and take a look at that hail forecast right there. From Sweetwater to Midland to Fort Stockton, we are expecting that increased hail risk right there, and I would really highlight this area right here, Fort Stockton to Midland. That would be where I would watch for larger hail. If I were to pick a day, and I know no one asked me to, but I will, between Thursday and Friday for larger hail, I would say probably Friday. I'm really looking at this area right here. We're still several days away from this, so things could change, but we'll have an eye on that as we get closer to the end of the week. Moving on now, we're going to talk about that flood risk one more time, but then we're going to move on and we're going to break down the rainfall totals right in this area. So if you guys are watching for rain in this area, ask your questions in the comments. I want to see where you guys are watching from today, and we can try to tailor this forecast, whether it be severe weather or just timing of rain, to your area. Golf ball size hail, that's the largest that I went with on Friday, but we'll probably increase that as we get more information with those storms on Friday into Saturday morning. This is like the fourth time we've showed this timeline here, so I hope that you have a good grasp of what's happening.